Sean Edmison at Bricks Cascade 2020. So showing an update of our G.I. Joe all-out assault mock. We've done several things since most folks have last seen it. We've added a whole Undersea Section and expanded that significantly. So basically that was an excuse for us to be able to get our eels and torpedo and wetsuit into the build because, you know, they're rad and why wouldn't you? So we figured out a way to do a frontage for, you know, basically to give the illusion of a sea battle without having to brick build a bunch of ocean, which I did not look forward to, or even to do a bunch of rock work. There's rock work kind of done out of slopes in a few places, but a lot of it is just kind of a very cheap plate effect. But it reads from a distance. It was, you know, an easy way for us to get an undersea battle going. So that extended the beach. And then we had to lift up the whole build to accommodate that because these things are only built a brick and a tile tall. So we ended up doing carpentry. So our build has now turned into a carpentry project. There's now a giant set of wood planks and frames under this whole thing that's all new for this show.
It's a multi-hobby build now.
Yes, exactly. We've turned this into a, you know, multidisciplinary build. Also new for this year or for this show, so we've added the Skyhawk, which is one of the iconic Joe vehicles that made absolutely no sense. It was a VTOL that had no wings, it just had big old jets, which is part of why I love it. And so I had to build it. I was sitting there one day with a big pile of olive, and I saw these two really weird pieces in my collection that I realized would be perfect for the intakes. I don't even know where those things came from or why I had them, but they called out to me, and so a Skyhawk was born. We've also added the MMS system. Now that one is a cheat. That's a Brickmania kit, just thrown right in here because it's perfect. It's like exactly what the toy was based on in the 80s, so I just used it as is.
What is this vehicle back here?
So this is the armored personnel carrier. I haven't camoed it yet, but that is a brick-built version of one of the iconic toys, complete with useless toy details like the handle, the extending handle, because the G.I. Joe version was designed to be a carrier for your figures. So as a kid, you could throw all your figures in there and take it and throw it under your arm and carry it. Well, this has absolutely no play value, but I just couldn't not do it, so it's there.
It's those kind of fine details that really make it stand out.
Yeah, it basically distinguishes me as an absolute nerd for this hobby, and that's why I love it. We've changed up the vamp a little bit there, so we've made a few tweaks to that. We had an original design that we've now turned into a comms truck, and then we have a slightly newer version of it that's a little closer to the toy design. So we've tweaked that a bit, but I still wanted to use the other one because it still looks cool.
Then we move off the beach a bit, you got some elevation in this part.
Yeah, so Pat has knocked himself out. Basically, a lot of this is what we had before. Pat has done a bunch of work to build this entire new set of terrain to go around the Terrordome. So he's done a bunch of rock work here to blend with the beach and, you know, to build up that level. And some of that stuff also does have height adjustments with wood under it, but a lot of it is actually brick built. And he's added a flight pod launch center, so you can see how the flight pods launch at crazy weird angles before they can actually get everything stabilized. So I thought that was kind of a cool effect that he threw in there. And now we've kind of got this whole section where, you know, the Cobra guys are launching off into battle. They're still going down this one path, though, so we've got them going single file, which I think is hilarious, so they can be mowed down that much faster. And that's so typically Cobra, just to throw things into battle willy-nilly. Let's see here. So we've also added a couple of gags to it this year. So I love to get Law and Order into the build doing something ridiculous because he's got that big bashing tool. So now I have him bashing on the side of the wall because why wouldn't you? And the most hilarious thing, I didn't notice this until later, but Pat actually had a guy mowing the lawn who looks over and just takes notice of him. So just, you know, some little gags to kind of keep things fresh. So we've got that lawnmower gag. We've got a snow serpent relaxing on the beach here because, you know, he doesn't really have a lot to do in a sand battle. So he's like, yeah, you guys got this. I'm going to have a couple beers.
The surfboard stuck in there is nice.
Yes, yeah, nice touch. We've got
more characters on the beach down here.
Oh, yeah, so Serpentor is just kind of mad because nobody really pays attention to him. Nobody, you know, goes by his orders, so he's fishing. He's just checked out of the battle entirely. And meanwhile, you've got a raid here with Lady J leading a group that are supposed to be trying to get up the hill, but they forgot to bring Alpine with them, so they have no way to climb. So they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, and also completely ignoring Serpentor. We also added another so we've got the mass device there. Pat has his Terrordome again. He's also added the fire bat. He's added some detail to that. The jet, effect coming off of that, which I think is really cool. He's also added a HISS missile launcher. So there were multiple variants of the HISS tanks if you go back and look through the series of the toy line. So Pat's added a camo version of that. It's kind of like a multiple launch rocket system version of a HISS. We've got the Dreadnoks, having cut down some wood to make room for the Terrordome. So you've got Buzzer in there doing his thing.
I like this, got a little extra character there.
Oh, yeah. We decided it was Bring Your Baby to Battle Day. So, you never know when a battle's going to happen. Maybe you can't find daycare or babysitting on short notice. So,
And I like this technique. I think I've been seeing this pop up in more builds here as these little missile pieces have become more popular, but using that to create kind of action.
Well, yeah. So with G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. The other half is the red and blue lasers. So we figured that it was important for us to represent that. And so Pat had a bunch of these laser effects and missile pieces. And so we just like to make it look really chaotic, just like one of the scenes out of the cartoon, because that's kind of what we're trying to recreate. So just having a very chaotic battle where absolutely no G.I. Joe guy ever gets hit by anything, no matter how stupid the action that he's taking, we think is very true to the brand. So we like to recreate that.
That's what makes this such a great build, is you guys do this every year, kind of updates and change it up, as you always have so much fun with it because it's based on something that's just so crazy.
Yeah, it's something that we loved as kids. We realized as adults that it was ridiculous, but we love that ridiculousness, and we want to embrace it, and we want to just have fun with it. And it makes for a fun build. We get a lot of people coming by and saying, oh my gosh, G.I. Joe, I remember that from a kid. You'll have, gray-haired dads pulling their kids over who want to go look at something else and giving them a history lesson in these toys that the kid could not possibly care less about. But it's fun for us to see that level of recognition, to see, the folks who get it. So it's just a labor of love.
Yeah. I don't think we mentioned the little scene in the corner, so what do we have going on over here?
Yeah. So that was a mountain section that I just thought would be kind of a cool little end cap for the build. We've been trying to incorporate the mosaic into it over time instead of having it look like an add-on. And since Pat had this really cool Terrordome on one side, I wanted to add something on my side. So I have got this mountain section with some Cobra guys up there, and they need a way to get up there. Again, they need Alpine. But Alpine is missing in action here. This is his moment to shine, and he's gone. But that's just kind of another enclave of Cobra guys.
Yeah. Well, it's another fantastic scene, so thank you so much for bringing all this out and for everybody who's involved with it. It's always great to see what you guys do here at Bricks Cascade, so thanks for taking us through it.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks.